Mix. Pistachios. Oh, too much. Cinnamon. Never enough. Almonds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. E, R, sun, su. I run out of languages. A little bit of oats. And we good. So by now we should be 6 months or even a bit more into the process of trying to become vegan basically, and I want to make a reflection video. So one concept I really like from going to the gym is the idea of progressive overload, meaning that you slowly twitch things to make them harder gradually over time. And 6 months ago I decided that I wanted to become vegan for many reasons actually, but the most important was the fact that I was just so used to eating meat and I was romanticizing meat, and I think you can learn a lot by just trying to basically contradict yourself and do things against yourself sometimes. So for example, if you always brush your teeth with your right hand, sometimes it's better maybe to just switch and use the left hand just to see what happens. I was not really driven by the idea of not killing animals, even though I find this very cruel. I just don't find it shocking because I come from the Balkans, Eastern Europe, so I'm very desensibilized, I think. No, because I actively contributed to killing animals and I always saw them being killed growing up. Yeah, it's just the countryside life. And right now whenever I see videos or pictures with animals being killed, they don't really touch me anymore. And it's something I wish it was different, but it's just the reality and I'm trying to be honest about this. However, logically, I can see and I truly believe we live in a world where we don't have to kill animals just so we can eat. Other than that, I really like the pro-climate argument and I really think we would do a much better job with starvation in general and the way we manage resources and health problems if we would switch more and more towards a fully plant-based diet. I think that the meat industry is very toxic. The way the animals are raised is very toxic. The way we see animals is very toxic. And most of the time we kill them just so we can have some fast food, which is basically we're just putting poison into our body just so we can feel something. And I decided to do it so in a very gradual manner because I feel like, yeah, for sure, if you are omnivore, you eat meat and then at some point you see something very traumatizing, like some cows being killed. This might be shocking enough for you to just be like this and just quit meat and dairy products and eggs and everything, cold turkey, and just never look back. But for me it was not the case. So instead what I decided is that I'm going to slowly transition to veganism over a long period of time. Small incremental changes. It could be as easy as, let's say you eat meat 3 times per day and then you try to eat meat 2 times per day for 5 weeks, and then you try to eat meat 1 time per day, and so on until you just, well, quit meat, because ditching everything just like this it might not really be doable in my opinion. At least it was not for me. I never were like this. This was good. So I've been 95.3224% of the time basically just vegetarian. I didn't have any meat. I only had fish sometimes, just because it's easy to see the fish not as real meat in a very superficial way, but just because if you stab a cow, she's gonna scream. If you stab a fish, she's just gonna go like a blob 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 blob. And yeah, I'm just being honest. These are my thoughts, and yeah, it's very superficial, but it's just how I think right now, and this is why I'm doing this so I can change my mind. And I had the real meat ones when my parents came, and they brought a lot of Romanian traditional food, and I, in a very superficial way, just didn't want to ruin the event by telling them that I don't want to eat the stuff they brought. But again, it is very superficial, and I'm aware of it. But I feel like I have to embrace the superficiality sometimes in order to change. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie to myself saying that no, it was unavoidable and so on. I'm just superficial, but I'm less, and this is progress. Other than that, I had a lot of yogurt, a lot of eggs, and to be honest, while I understand the whole vegan philosophy, that veganism actually goes beyond food, just not using products that are tested on animals, and this is something I do already, not wearing real leather and not contributing to this market, and it's something I try to do already. The eggs, for example, given the fact that the chicken, they give eggs anyway that would otherwise go to waste. Well, if you live at a farm and you have your own chicken that you're not gonna kill, then I don't see it as a problem. But me, I'm a person that buys the eggs and the yogurt from Lidl. So I buy them from the supermarket, so those are not animals that were raised in a happy way, let's say. So I can see why fully plant-based diet would function better there. At first I was a bit scared, thinking that my body is gonna go to shit, because for me the athleticism is very important and I wanted to keep making progress and so on, and you know, we have this mentality of you are what you eat. Actually the science is something else, and even though at first I thought progress is gonna slow down or I'm gonna lose gains, in reality it was actually the opposite, and I was surprised. It was maybe because of the fact that I was eating as a consequence much more carbs, and I could just train more and so on. But yeah, I'm making progress and I'm actually in a very good shape, and I don't see any disadvantages comparing to a omnivore diet that was very carnivore in fact. I also like the fact that it forced me to be much more creative in the kitchen, and it forced me to cook much more, to eat everything at home, because it's much easier to have affordable vegetarian or vegan options. Most of my meals are actually vegan. Right now, getting some yogurt, getting some eggs is a very easy way to get your protein in. I don't have to think, I just put it, it's actually just out of comfort. So for this, I need to basically, yeah, find other ways to get my protein as easily from plant-based stuff that is not gonna hinder my ability to work. Because getting some tofu, getting some tempeh here in Italy is actually quite expensive. I have to pay 2 to 3 times the price for the same amount of protein. It's just not something I'm willing to do right now, because I'm not in the best financial situation. I'm not in the worst, but I'm not in the best either, so I need to pay attention to how much I spend on food. And also something that I really don't like is the amount of fiber I have to deal with. I'm always bloated. I always have the need to fart, and it's just awful when I go to castings and I just have a baby full of food, because I mean it's healthy unprocessed food, which means it's hard to digest, especially trying to get like 50, 60, 70 grams of protein from beans. That's a pain in the ass, like for real. It's and I'm aware that using this as an excuse again, just not wanting to be bloated, because it's easy if I chug 30 grams of protein through yogurt, then 30 grams of protein through chickpeas. I'm not gonna be as bloated. I can go to the casting easily without being afraid I'm gonna fart there and lose the casting. But you know, I have to find other ways, and this comes with time, and I'm taking it slow. I was actually just watching a lot of debates in between vegans and non-vegans, and it's crazy to see my opinion changing, because at the beginning I just couldn't understand this philosophy at all. Like, again, it was just the Eastern European uprising that I had. It was just very hard to see things this way when you grew up always eating meat, and it's very normal to just get the chicken and just slice the head, and here you have it, a nice barbecue. But I think that seeing just more and more examples, more analogies from people that basically they were once in my spot helps a lot, because basically I can see their process as well. And this brought a lot of benefits in the way I just live in general, because I just started questioning things much more. The small things that I do, not the big stuff. Just, I don't know, for example, why did I put my right leg over my left one now and not the opposite when I could just do this as well? But to be honest, if it was not for the protein, and I found a solution for this, is just, well, using protein powder everywhere, which is actually very affordable. So if it wasn't for the protein, the diet overall would be much cheaper actually than having an omnivore diet. So on the budget side, it actually wins. It's just the fact that I don't like to stuff myself all of the time with protein, which is very superficial. Then there, I did. These videos are very important because I can actually just hear myself, and it's easier to change yourself when you're just bullshitting yourself inside of your brain, and then you start trusting yourself. Yeah, other than that, the fashion week is coming. I have to get prepared, I have to get lean, and maybe in the future videos I'm gonna show you a bit of what I eat, also as a way to journal and see what I was eating when I was 21 years old, and how does this affect my health in the future, when I'm gonna be in the future, and I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna see that the fact that everything was actually inevitable by the time I get there. I don't know. But I just wanted to give some updates on my process towards being vegan. The superficial way, the dummy way, but at least it's the honest way or something. I don't know. See ya.